You know, out of all my years of being a Nintendo fan, none of them have ever been as good as this one. 2017 was a special, unique year, unlike any other for us Nintendo fans. Everything from the Switch coming out, to the countless first-party and third-party titles released, as well as the amount of DLC that we've gotten alongside those first-party titles. It's basically been like Christmas all year long for us Nintendo fans. Not only has the Switch sold more units than the Wii U did in its entire lifetime in this one year alone, but Nintendo just kept surprising me more and more as the year went on. When I watched that huge Switch Direct back in January, right, I remember how blown away I was, not only the way it was presented, but from the giant roster of new games that were all being released just months apart from each other. And what surprised me even more was when Nintendo released all those games on the intended release date. With the exception of Breath of the Wild anyway, every game came out when Nintendo said it would. Now, the reason this surprised me, right, is because when you think about the crappy era that was the Wii U era, Nintendo was delaying games left and right for the most part, with games like Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade X being delayed multiple times, so at that point, I had basically just gotten used to it. But when I noticed that they were sticking to their deadlines, I was honestly quite surprised, especially when it came to the big releases like Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. In fact, one thing I'm pretty sure we can all agree on was that one of the things that made this year different from all the other previous past years was the element of surprise. Just when I thought I got Nintendo's thought process down, they threw me for another loop. Oh look, a T-Rex. It's probably just a teaser from Monster Hunter or something, and oh my goodness, okay, no it's not. It's a new Super Mario Odyssey trailer featuring some of the most unique plays I've ever seen in a Mario game ever. Holy crap, is that really the next Zelda game? It looks so gigantic and large. Is this really going to be Breath of the Wild? Is Breath of the Wild really gonna be this expansive and big? It looks so large and interesting, and look at all the stuff you can interact with and do. Holy crap, this might be the biggest Zelda game ever! Keep in mind, these were just my thoughts when I was watching the presentation in January. This entire year has been filled with nothing but surprises for us Nintendo fans, and it's paid off greatly for Nintendo. Don't get me wrong, they still have done some pretty questionable things, like eventually charging you to pay online and that weird jumbled mess of a headset that they have for Splatoon 2 voice chat, but overall, the positives far outweigh the negatives. It's a nice relief too after the past year and a half drought we went through where barely any games were getting released, and the games that were getting released were either okay or just flat out terrible. There were so many games this year that I wanted to buy on launch day because I was just that hyped for them. Oh, and also to avoid spoilers, because God knows that the only way you'll be able to avoid them is by going cold turkey and not using the internet, period. And that's not even counting the DLC for some of these already great masterpieces. To be honest, I think this was Nintendo's best year in history gaming-wise, because as long as I've been a Nintendo fan, I've never seen Nintendo release game after game after game in such short time frames in between for them to be consistently good too. I mean, think about it. January and February were basically hype months because we were waiting for the Switch itself to come out as well as Breath of the Wild. In March, the Switch launched and we got Breath of the Wild. Then in April we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then in June we got Nintendo's new IP ARMS, as well as a teaser for Metroid Prime 4. In July we got Splatoon 2. In August we got Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. In October we got the best game ever made, aka Super Mario Odyssey. And then finally in December we got Xenoblade 2. If that's not the definition of Nintendo spoiling us, I don't know what is. And all of these games, for the most part anyway, were exceptionally good. And quite frankly, it makes me wonder what 2018 is going to bring. Will it be another successful year, or will it flop? I already know we're not going to get spoiled nearly as much as next year compared to this year, but I still personally think that's going to be a pretty good year, with plenty more games to look forward to, like the new Pokemon game and the new Kirby game. The point that I'm trying to make when I say all this though, is that 2017 was basically a magical year for Nintendo, and I don't think we'll ever get another year like this for quite some time, because it just seems too good to be true in my opinion. Although, who knows, maybe Nintendo will actually surprise us and maybe 2018 will be just like, you know, this past year, 2017. But anyway, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments below, and cheers 2018. Bye.